Now, a court in the UK has been stoking controversy, exercising sweeping powers to decide the fate of families and individuals judged unfit to make their own decisions. Children have been separated from their parents and some people even jailed by a secretive body called the Court of Protection. RT's Polly Boyko met one family at the centre of one of the most notorious cases.
When John Maddox was diagnosed with dementia, his children Ivan and Wanda intended to give him the best care they could. But they clashed with social workers in their local council, which took the family to the secret Court of Protection. It ruled that the 80-year-old lacked the mental capacity to make his own decisions and needed to live in a special care home.
He didn't want being at home. Basically, he told us he didn't want being at home. He really wanted to go with Wanda, the final home that he went in. I swear to God he didn't look after him right. Sorry.
The court makes rulings on behalf of citizens deemed too unwell to be responsible for their own affairs. It has power to take control of assets and separate family members, all in secret. Wanda and Ivan weren't allowed to take their father out of the state-run facility or even discuss his living arrangements with him.
Well, they kept on asking me he wanted to go home to his house, but I didn't like to tell him that he didn't have an house anymore. They got it because with the Court of Protection, the council do whatever they want with his finances in its house.
What do you think about him being locked up in these homes and you can't go out for the day? What do you think of it?
I don't feel free.
In order to mount a legal challenge to the secret court ruling, Wanda took her father to see a solicitor. Wanda tried to draw attention to the case but was sentenced to prison for contempt of the secret court. So instead of caring for her father like she wanted to, she had to spend 2 months in here in the company of criminals.
I cried the first 2 days I was in the prison. I cried because you're treated like an hardened criminal as soon as you get in there.
You really cannot challenge the question as to whether somebody has mental capacity or not without talking to them. And she was in prison, firstly, for taking her father to see a solicitor in Birmingham.
Which makes it sound quite draconian.
Well, in a sense, it's worse than draconian, because Draco would not have gone that far.
When I was in the jail, I was frightened because they listened in to your phone calls. So I was afraid to speak to Dad because of the conditions they put on us, and also, you know, in case I got in more trouble.
Meanwhile, her brother Ivan watched their father's health deteriorate under the strain of her absence.
In the end, when they moved him to that final home, that was the end of him. And he wanted it, if Wanda still loved him anything. I said, you've got to know this. She does. She's put herself in prison for it.
Observers say the difficulty with justice behind closed doors is that no one knows if the law is being followed. The evidence is heard in private, defendants often lack legal representation and aren't allowed to publicise their case.
In essence, it is giving the state too much power to intervene in people's lives. Preventing people complaining about what's being done to them is never right.
The government's faced a barrage of criticism over the practice of secret justice. Justice Secretary Chris Grayling has said,
I have written to the President of the Court to ask him to look at what steps can be taken to increase transparency while continuing to protect the interest of vulnerable adults.
But John Maddox never got to go to his home or to his family. He died in January of this year.
It's worried me what they've done. They've taken, you know, Dad away from it's like, and I keep worrying what's going to happen to us when we get older. You know, you've got to be really careful. You're not safe, are you, really?